Hey everyone, my name is Brett from Simulation Beats, here for Karanyi Sound, here to show you guys how to use the brand new Analog Tales 2, and even how to create your very own custom presets. So let's get started. Alright, so we got 3 different tabs over here, or pages, and then some more stuff down below over here as well. And yes, this might look a little bit intimidating at first, but I promise you it's way easier than it looks. And we'll go over that in just a little bit. Just for right now, going over some of the presets in Analog Tales 2. See, like that ARP right there, like this right here is already a really great chord for the ARP, but then adding that 4th note, now changing it, just adds a ton of variety there. Analog Tales 2 makes it very easy to add texture to any of your songs just by adding these ARPs that are included with the plugin. Alright, moving away from the ARPs over here, going on over to the basses. It's a very heavy sounding bass. That for something a bit more aggressive and distorted. Alright, now moving on to the cinematic category over here, and Angel Eyes I've been using a lot recently. Go down an octave even. That one is a personal favorite of mine. This one's got a good amount of bass behind it too. Crystal Cavern has a lot of texture in here. Alright, let's go over to some of the leads over here. Go through a couple of the pads over here. Yeah, that octave lower is really nice there. Way more pleasing and very, very emotional. Some of the plucks as well. This pluck here, Classico, is actually one of my favorites as well. And there's a couple of effects over here with over distorted. Supernova. And TikTok. Alright, so that's going to wrap up some of the presets here in Analog Tales 2. Now we can move on and diving a bit further into this plugin with some of the features. Alright, so those are some of my favorite presets from Analog Tales 2, and they are very helpful when starting to quickly start a new track. However, another powerful route to take is to learn how to make your own presets. For example, I was actually tasked with making some presets of my own. Now I'll be showing you guys my process and how I make new sounds, and even how you guys can make some that are unique to you. Now, one quick way to go about it is to use the random bar down below. Each of these buttons will randomize certain features of the instruments, or even everything all at once. So you could keep pressing them until you find something close to what you like and tweak it from there. But for today's demonstration, we'll be making a preset completely from scratch. Alright, so let me show you guys how I've been creating my presets so far. I created this preset right here to help me go from scratch when creating a new preset. It's got no modules turned on at all, and it's going to be the front page right here where all you can really do is change up the distortion knob. But for making a preset here today, I'll be leaving this down near 0. And now for the second page over here. So we've got 4 different modules over here. Alright, let's turn them all on for once. And as you can see, they're all different ones over here. This is Buzzwave, Motion Drive, Glass Motion, and Steel Pan. And they all have different options over here. What we have over here will not be on what's over here. or even on this side. So each module over here has different categories for the sounds. And depending on the sound that I want to try and make, I'll start with either the distortion over here. These two modules are based around distortion. Or if I want to create more of like an instrument, I may start with these down over here, which is going to be more textural stuff. But even before you pick any of the sounds for the module, it's important to go down over here and decide which kind of LFO that you want. If you want more of a pad, this bottom left would be perfect. If you want something more sustained, you can go to the top left. You can have something with a stronger attack. Or something more plucky with the bottom right. So I think I want the top right over here. And now we can go through like glass motion. Synth layer is always very pleasing. I'll leave it on synth layer for right now. Now turning on some of the other textures over here. Granular. Granular sounds very good, but let's try out some other ones. I like Plastic Teen a lot, but I think it might be a little bit too high over here, which is fine. We can actually change that octave from going from +1 to neutral right over here. And I like that a lot more right now too. However, I think that the Plastic Teen is actually a little bit overpowering, so I can turn down the volume here and maybe turn up the synth layer. Actually, that sounds pretty fine right there. Now let's try and go find some of the distortion over here. My favorite one here when creating any sort of instrument is going to be alpha PW. Now, a lot of the sounds that I use are a bit more warm and not as distorted, so I actually want to turn that down a little bit. Just have it more as like texture. That sounds pretty good right there. Still adding a little bit more weight behind it. And generally, 3 modules might be all that you need. You can try to add a 4th one over here, but just make sure not to go too crazy with it. Pure PW does sound kind of similar to alpha, and I think it actually just complements it very well. We're getting to sound more of like an organ almost here, right? So now that we've gone through some of the generalization of the 4 different modules and what they can do, we can dive in a bit more on how we can change each module by itself. And we'll be turning off the 2 different distortions over here so we can just hear what's going on with the textures over here. So say for the synth layer, I might want to fade in a bit more than be more of a pluck. So let's go and increase the attack right here. That sounds pretty good right there. So if I turn this off, it's almost like a string now, right? And now Plastic Teen, I want it to be completely plucked, so let's turn down the attack all the way. You do also have your sustain, release, and decay over here as well. Going over to the left over here, we can change the panning. As you can see, both of them are kind of to the left. I don't want that. So let's change the synth layer to more of the right. And get a lot more depth and space that way. Right next to the octave is going to be the wow filter. You can definitely hear that, right? Add a little bit of character to it. Now moving on to this section over here, okay? There's going to be a few different effects. Now let's focus on just the filter over here first. Let's hear just the synth layer. And that definitely changes it up, right? And the Q over here can really make a big difference for the resonance. Frequency, change up that. If you want that same effect but a little bit diminished, you can go over here and turn down this knob. But you can also change up the LFO for the filter over here. So a sine maybe. Sine reversed. Saw reversed. Alright, but for now, turning off that filter, moving over to the right, we've got the delay and space. Now, space and delay were already on, so let's hear what that sounds like without them on at all. Very different, right? Now let's turn on delay. Moving on over to space over here, which is going to be the reverb. Once again, we've got the mix knob. Turn that up or down. And the size. And the stereo separation. Make that more mono over here. Or wide. And now over here, we can change the individual tone of this one module. So here, some of the highs are being taken out, so let's bring that back on in. The mids, and the lows. So be sure to start out one module at a time as to not get overwhelmed, and then add more modules as you go on to really customize and make your own sound. But we actually do have one more module to look at, which is going to be right over here that's currently turned off. Turning it on will include a sub to make our sound more heavy and add a lot more low end to our preset. Now for this like organ pluck sound, I don't really think I'm going to be needing the sub, but you can definitely create a lot of really amazing basses using the sub module. Let's hear what that sounds like now. That's wide, subtle, and direct. Very different sounds there. Now to the right, you've got the ability to blend the modules between the left and the right side. Having in the middle will have a perfect balance between everything, or you can go over here and find a different sort of balance by going more to the left using only the alpha PW and synth layer. Or the right to get the other two modules. And find a good balance there. Personally, I think that sounds really warm and more pleasing on this side. That sounds really good, actually. You can change up the expression over here for the volume. And now over here, we've got the master filter, which we went the individual module filters, but now we can apply it to all four over here and even the sub. We also went through the individual tones for the modules, but now we've got the master tone over here. The master controls over here are a great way to change up your preset. We went from something a bit more bright and thin to something warmer and more full. And to make all of these four presets come together, we can go over to the master glue and increase the compression over here. And then even a limiter as well. Down over here we can turn on poly, that we can only play one note at a time. But it's important to keep in mind that if you're creating chords, you definitely don't want that poly to be on. And now you can include an ARP with this button right here. And to customize that ARP, you can go over to the third page over here, where you can change up the ratio, the duration of the notes, swing, the pitch for the octaves, you can be displayed the rhythm over here, which you can also change with these steps. And then the method over here changes up a lot of things, going from a zigzag, move in, and then the middle over here, you've actually got a preset for what you want to do. Now that I've made a preset that I like, I want to make sure I can use it in future projects, which is very easy to do, going over here to the top right and then hitting save, give it a new name, keys, organ, pad, and then hit save. And there it is right there, keys, organ, pad. Here are some of the other presets that I've made. This is actually the first time showing you guys a bass that I've made. And that's why I named this one Bass Cinematic. The longer you hold the note down, the more that it kind of evolves and shapes. This one's probably my favorite preset that I've made. That's some of the presets that I've made inside of Analog Tales 2. Real quick over here, I did make a demonstration for you guys using only Analog Tales 2. Here's what that sounds like, and I hope you guys enjoy. Alright, I hope you guys all enjoyed that demo track and the deep dive into the plugin. Analog Tales 2 is available now at KaranyiSounds.com and can be used in the full version of Kontakt. Once again, I'm here from Simulation Beats for Karanyi Sounds, and thank you for watching.